The Major League Pickleball regular season has just come to a dramatic conclusion. Annalie Waters and the New Jersey Fives were on the hunt for the #1 overall seed. They would have to be nearly flawless to achieve that. There was an intense battle for the 6th and final Challenger League playoff spot. We already know the first 2 teams that are going to get promoted next season. There's so much more to talk about, so we're going to do that. But before we do, go ahead and like this video, and if you haven't, consider subscribing to this channel. I would really appreciate it. Also, the holiday season is approaching, so if you are going to buy any pickleball gifts for anybody, go ahead and check out pickleballcentral.com, and you can use this code MattyP1024, soon to be MattyP1124. That'll get you a little discount. So with that, let's go ahead and set the stage. Here are the standings heading into this event, and you'll notice that 5 teams have already completed their season. The St. Louis Shock are in the door with 52 total points, and just behind them are the New Jersey Fives with 40 points and 5 matches remaining. That means if New Jersey can get 13 or more points, they will clinch the #1 spot outright. This, of course, is significant because not only do the top 2 teams get byes, also the 1 seed will get to select their opponent in the semifinals, and they will get the advantage of making all the selections that are normally determined by a coin toss. They'll get to react to Dream Breakers. They'll get to react to mixed. They'll get to pick which side they want. This could be a pretty massive advantage, especially when the margins are so thin. Entering this event at 3rd, also with their season done, was the Dallas Flash, followed by DC Pickleball Team, New York Hustlers, and the Texas Ranchers. Now, the Texas Ranchers already done with 38 points. DC and New York each with 30 points, with 6 and 5 games remaining respectively. Now, the 3 seed gets to pick who they want to play, either the 5 seed or the 6 seed. So being the 4 seed means you get to avoid playing the Dallas Flash, and you'll get to make all of those selections against whoever you do play in the first round. DC and New York were definitely not 100% in the clear as far as even making the playoffs because Arizona Drive, Orlando Squeeze, and even the LA Mad Drops had an outside shot of sneaking in. Carolina did too technically, but it wasn't very likely. To help conceptualize exactly what was going down, I created a Major League Pickleball model to show the probabilities of all the outcomes that could happen in the remaining 18 matches that would be played in Miami. I'm going to go ahead and explain my methodology here with creating this model, and if you don't like math or just don't really care, go ahead and head down to the video description. I've got some chapters. You can skip this segment. And while you're down there, go ahead and drop a comment and let me know what a massive nerd I am. So essentially what we're doing here is taking the formula that I reverse engineered from the Duper win percent graphics that they show on the broadcast. This formula can be used to determine win percentages for any game within a match. For example, the first match of this event will be Carolina versus Orlando. Here we can see each of the individual team members and their respective duper. So for women's doubles, we take Megan Dizon and Vivian David. Their average duper is 5.93. The Carolina Pickleball Club women average duper is 5.61. We plug it into this formula over here on the right, crunch some numbers, and it gives us Orlando with a 77.78% win probability. We then do the same process for men, for mixed doubles, and for Dream Breakers. Now for mixed, since we don't do the matchups, we just use the average of all 4 players' dupers for each match, and we do the same for Dream Breakers using their singles duper. We then take these probabilities to determine the probabilities of different outcomes for this match. We come out with a 47% chance that Orlando wins in regulation, earning 3 points, an 11% chance that they win in the Dream Breaker, 25% chance that they lose in the Dream Breaker, and a 17% chance that they lose in regulation. We then generate a random number. This will pick a result. Do this for all 18 of the remaining matches, and then run 5,000 iterations of this process, and it gives us something like this. Here you can just see each team's probability of making the playoffs along the bottom, and the distribution of all the outcomes that can be achieved. Now, my initial thoughts on this model, go ahead and watch my last video with Anna Bright to see what she thought of it too. This is purely fueled by the duper calculation, so if a player has a lower duper, the model doesn't like them. For this reason, I think it is too low on New Jersey, too low on New York, and probably too high on Orlando, DC, and LA. LA is playing with a sub, AJ Kohler, but his duper is actually pretty good. In fact, his duper is higher than both Will Howes and Zane. So it's not perfect, but it does give us a pretty good idea of all the possible outcomes. So again, let's dive in here. We can see it's really down to St. Louis and New Jersey for the top 2 spots. There is an outside chance Dallas could get the #2 seed, but that would require New Jersey to get 5 or fewer points in their 5 remaining matches, which doesn't really seem all that likely to happen. Dallas is probably locked in at that 3 seed, and then DC, Texas, and New York are in that next tier of teams. Although Texas, it would take some pretty crazy scenarios for them to miss the playoffs. Either Orlando, Arizona, or LA would have to get to 38 points and then win on tiebreak or past 38 points. New York and DC, on the other hand, have left the door open a little bit. If they come out and start struggling early, things could get pretty dramatic. So with that, let's see how the first 2 matches went on Thursday. Our first match of the day is the Orlando Squeeze against Carolina Pickleball Club. Orlando needing to get a move on, and what better way than to play Carolina women to start things off. Across all the various iterations, the Carolina women have only won 20% of their games on the season. However, Brooke Buckner and Caitlin Christian were playing very well today. Caitlin Christian in the I formation, getting big, hitting the game winner. And anytime the Carolina women or Colin in mixed get a win, you are going to be facing an uphill battle because that means you're going to have to steal one off of Ben Johns. Here, 2-1 in mixed number 2. Tyson's going to try the lob. Ben tracks it down. Brooke Buckner playing incredible defense. The defensive lob. I'm a big fan of this shot. I love using this in my games. And they're going to work their way back up to the kitchen. A few drives, a few drops. And now Tyson here on this dink is going to kind of show like he's maybe going to dink cross court, try the speed up, but Brooke Buckner's all on it. Carolina gets the regulation win, which was a devastating blow for Orlando. Next match, we will stick with Carolina, this time against DC. This is mixed number 1, tied 1-1 heading into this one. The women were locked into this cross-court dinking pattern before Rachel decided to try a speed up down the line on Ben. He's able to reset it, but Rachel's next dink out of the air is a little high, and Brooke is able to attack it before an incredible reset from James Ignatowicz. And with this incredible offense to defense to offense rally, they would take a lead into the end change. They would maintain that lead here up 23-17 before we get into more cross-court dinking between Brooke and Rachel. Rachel's going to try that same speed up at Ben, and she immediately takes a step back, is able to keep the rally going, and set up Ignatowicz for the finisher. They would go on to win this game and win this match, so let's take a look at how this impacts everything. So after day 1, it became official. The Carolina Pickleball Club would not be making the playoffs. Ben Johns missing the playoffs. Somebody messed up. Something went wrong. Somebody messed up. Maybe it was him. DC significantly improved their chances not only to make the playoffs, but they're now in the driver's seat for that number 4 seed. Orlando's playoff chances took a little bit of a nosedive, down to just 9%. Looking to Friday, the New York Hustlers would open up with a doubleheader. If they lose both of these, all of a sudden, things could be wide open. One of those games is against the DC pickleball team, so whoever wins that is going to be looking really good for that 4 seed. Let's see how it went. We start off with women's doubles, where Rachel Rohrbacher is going to catch Leah Jansen in the shoulder. On the ensuing rally at game point, they're going to methodically work their way up to the kitchen line, attempt to start a dink rally, but it was over before it even began. Leah Jansen into the net. So DC takes a 1-0 lead into men's doubles, but it is New York Hustlers with a lead here. Deckel gets an ATP to set himself up for the winner. Here, James Ignatowicz is going to clip Jack Sock in the shoulder. And here's one little thing I've been thinking a lot about lately. Not all Ernies are good Ernies. Sometimes it feels like people just Ernie for the sake of Ernie. Now that was a good Ernie. This one from Deckel, a little questionable there. Here, another one from Sock is going to work, but I don't know if that was necessarily a good Ernie. Was that thing staying in? Ultimately, the New York Hustlers were able to hang on to that early lead and secure the men's doubles win to take it 1-1 into mixed doubles. And we go right into another tight one in mixed number 1. And again, circling back on my point about Ernie's, this one, I like the effort. I think it was a solid effort, just wasn't executed. New York up 18-14. CJ Klinger coming over pretty far. He's going to try a cross-court dink. And when you're that far out of position, it's got to be a good dink. CJ Klinger somehow keeps it alive. Now we're on a defensive rally. Maybe another unnecessary Ernie, that time actually a Burt from James Ignatowicz. However, they are able to scramble. A little chaos ensues, and they do take that rally. New York now up 18-16. We get into a little bit of a firefight, but we are going to see the surprise attack off the net cord. We get a double bounce. New York still holding on to a 2-point lead, and look at all this open court. Rachel sees that. She said, okay, let's see if you can get to this one. CJ Klinger does, but on the ATP, Jackie Kawamoto is not there to clean it up. That is a point for DC. New York will be the first team with a game point in this one, but CJ Klinger into the net, and then it was the James Ignatowicz show finding the line on the forehand. Here we have another game point for New York. DC was scrapping. They were not going down easy. We have a little chaos there. CJ coming over trying to poach, but they just were never able to close in all the way and retake the lead. Here, they're able to defend this game point and on 25-25. After the initial firefight gets neutralized, New York maybe trying to ice out Jumpin' Jimmy. He's trying to stay ready. CJ Klinger's going to get the backhand flick in there, get the pop-up, get the put away. And at 26-25, let me tell you guys, I don't just bring up random things, okay? There's a reason we were talking about our all Ernies, good Ernies, and it's because on game point, James Ignatowicz, looks like he almost thought about a paddle toss too. New York would take a 2-1 lead into mix number 2, and they would pick up right where they left off. Jack Snock sneaking in, getting the forehand on Deckel. Deckel pushing it deep. 4-1 lead here for DC. Jack maybe thought about some kind of Ernie there. Deckel dink into the net, the frustration mounting. And hey, we saw this earlier too. When you see that ATP opportunity, great opportunity to slide middle and just clean things up. Jack Sock making it look nice here. And at 24-20, it would be a Jack Sock counter off a Vivian Glosman speed up that would give New York the win and the driver's seat for getting that 4 seed. New York Hustlers would stay on the court now up against Orlando, who is in full-on desperation mode. And, you know, for all the talk about bad Ernies, I mean, when it works, can you really blame him? I mean, it is probably the most fun shot in pickleball. Just ask my brother.
Are you not entertained?
New York Hustlers absolutely cruising through this one. A little bit of a funny moment. Jack Sock serve called out, looked out to me, but he's not too sure about that. We didn't get a challenge or anything. Besides that, what the hell we'll play on. And Tyson McGuffin on the ensuing serve. Yeah, Jack Sock's a big fan of that. This one was all New York Hustlers here off a lob from Tyson McGuffin. Federico overhead, CJ Klinger with the get, and what a shot here.
Good ball. Oh, wow.
Klinger and Sock would pick up the easy win over Federico and Tyson, and after splitting the next 2 games, there was a deciding mixed number 2. Bam. Jack Sock just absolutely ripping one right into Federico Staksrud. There, Leah Jansen, ATP, setting up the put away. New York takes it. We'll talk about what that means in a second, but first we have LA Mad Drops versus the now eliminated Ben Johns and Carolina Pickleball Club. Hunter Johnson smacking a winner. Taking a nice angle on that one. I love a nice angle. The first 2 games of this match went exactly as you would expect, with LA taking the women's point and Carolina taking the men's point. But things got interesting in mix number 1. And hey, back to this Ernie point. Jackie sees it. She reads it. She runs around the kitchen and she sets up Hunter Johnson for the easy put away. They would go on to take this game. They would go on to take this match. And guess what? LA's season is not done. Let's take a look at how things are going for them though. Orlando has eaten through pretty much all of their cushion. They now literally have to be perfect for their remaining matches. New York, on the other hand, is pretty much a lock for the playoffs, and they are in the driver's seat for that 4 seed after taking that win over DC. Arizona, by the way, still yet to play a match, and DC leaving the door open just a little bit. Speaking of Arizona, they would have 2 big matches to close the day on Friday. Not only would we get our first look at Arizona, who really needed to get busy, we also get our first look at the New Jersey Fives, who are on the hunt for that 1 seed. There's Zane Navratil, taking one from his former Orlando Squeeze teammate, Andre Diascu. And hey, speaking of Zane, pop quiz. Is he a cheater? Tell me what you think.
You get 3 free challenges per match.
So the issue for the Fives trying to complete this run to get the number 1 seed, they needed 13 points in 5 matches, recall. They're going to need to win some in regulation, and that means Zane and Will are going to have to step up there. A little paddle confusion. And since I need some more engagement in this video, here's a close-up of a Will House serve. Let me know what you think of that in the comments. But back to the point about the New Jersey men, they are really starting to put it together, especially because Will House has absolutely silenced any of the haters or doubters who think he does not belong in Premier League. They're able to get a win here over 2 first-round picks, and they would win this match. We are wasting no time. We jump right into a dream breaker tied at 14-14 between the DC Pickleball team, who need to make some moves. They want to get back into the mix for the 4 seed, and the Orlando Squeeze, who need to grasp tightly, maybe even squeeze onto every single point that they can get their hands on. Vivian Glosman, so many options here. Pushes it deep. Megan Dizon gets a 1-0 lead in this round. He finds a nifty little backhand shot up to a 2-0 lead. Here, Vivian Glosman, with a great return, is going to get exactly what she wants into the net. That's a 3-0 lead. Can Dizon get a 4-0 here? This would be a huge momentum swing, and she catches that line. Now Rachel Rohrbacher fighting, scrapping against Vivian David, trying to get a little comeback going here. This ball clips the net. And guys, I think that ball's out, but she doesn't call it. She hits it into the net. And on the next rally, Vivian David is going to close it out. DC maybe is going to want that call back. They need all the points they can get. They end up losing, just getting 1 point against the Orlando Squeeze. We pick up our next match at 1-1. We have mixed number 1 on the court. AJ Kohler, the sub, and Catherine Prento against Andre Diascu and Lacey Schneeman. AZ only had a 6 or 7% chance to make the playoffs entering the day. They lost their first match, so they need to win this one. Otherwise, they are mathematically eliminated. LA in a similar boat. They cannot afford to drop any points, and here we get the flying Romanian. He just barely clips AJ Kohler on that earning attempt, but here we are on a game point for LA. AJ Kohler trying to keep it alive with the resets. Catherine Prento just wide. Still trailing 1. Andre Diascu comes flying in for another Ernie. This would tie it up. However, he had an unforced error speeding up into the net on the next rally and on another game point for LA, able to close it out. In mix number 2, Arizona with a chance to force it to a dream breaker here. Dylan Frazier into the net, now tied at 25-25. Jade Kawamoto is going to find just the right spot against Jessie Irvin. And on game point, Hunter Johnson comes flying in. Jackie Kawamoto cleans it up. LA takes a win over Arizona. Let's take a look at the standings and the scenarios after day 2 of MLP Miami. So sure enough, by the end of the day Friday, Orlando and Arizona were formally, mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Now, these were two teams that looked really good on paper, but it just never quite came together for them. Orlando did have one event with a significant number of injuries and subs, which doesn't help. And Arizona, on the other hand, just never really saw Dylan and Andre perform like the dominant men's doubles team they drafted them to be. Additionally, Dylan Frazier just isn't quite on that elite tier of mixed doubles players. And the Caitlin Christian pick never really panned out, although they looked much better once they made the swap to get Jessie Irvin in the mix. Also, at the top end of this chart, New Jersey starting to make those gains on St. Louis. To start things off on Saturday, the New Jersey Fives defeated the LA Mad Drops. Unfortunately, this match wasn't on YouTube, so I don't have any clips. Now, this did mean that LA could no longer catch Texas, and New Jersey continued to gain on St. Louis. Up to this stage in the event, New Jersey has earned a perfect 6 points in their 2 matches. They have 3 more to go, and they only need 7 points from those. And you can't get 7 points in 3 matches without winning one in regulation. And to win in regulation, that means you need Zane and Will to get another win, at least somewhere. Here they had a 24-14 lead, looking like they were going to cruise to an easy victory. But things started to unravel a little bit, getting a little close, maybe getting a little tight. Jack Sock and CJ Klinger on the comeback trail. Remember, they are also locked in an intense chase for the number 4 seed, so every point matters just as much for them as it does for New Jersey. Here we get a Willhouse speed up, but the Klinger is all over it. Here, approaching the kitchen very gingerly with a little heel flick from Jack Sock. CJ with just incredible resets, feathery touch, then into the speed up, and that ball is wide. Now trailing just by 2, and this is why win on serve is just so much fun. I mean, you know what? I've done a complete 180. It's just objectively more fun. I love it. It needs to stay. Looking to tie it up, Jack Sock catches the back left corner, and at 24-24, he catches it again. They now have a game point of their own all the way from 24-14. They now lead 25-24. We waste no time getting right into a firefight, and Jack Sock not quite as feathery as CJ Klinger on the reset here at 25-25. This time Zane popping it up on the reset. 26-25, New York looking to get another game point here, trying to close it out. That is quite the defensive lob there from CJ Klinger. They're going to work their way back in, and he's going to kind of go for a little hero ball moment here. Doesn't quite pan out. Gives New Jersey the ball back, and on their own game point here, 1 rally later, Willhouse just says, you know what, I've seen enough. I'm calling game.
Willhouse with the driving crash.
Just a quick peek at the rest of the Game 3 scores. New Jersey, as we mentioned, defeated LA. There was a dead match between the eliminated Squeeze and the Drive. LA then lost in a Dream Breaker to DC, and the match we just saw, New Jersey got a sweep over New York Hustlers. So sure enough, by the end of the day, LA too had been eliminated from the playoffs. This LA team actually showed a pretty surprising amount of fight down the stretch. They just were never really going to be a contender without Thomas Wilson. So no more drama at the cut line. However, still a very intense battle brewing for the number 4 seed, and it is getting closer and closer to just straight up being a coin flip for the number 1 seed. New Jersey a perfect 9 points through 3 matches. They just need 4 more in their final 2. And to make things more interesting for this chase for the 4 seed, It was announced that DC would be without James Ignatowicz, Ryan Fu would sub in for him, and New York Hustlers would be without CJ Klinger.
Big story, Anderson Scarpa filling in here and doing an admirable job halfway through game one.
Now remember, New York won their first 2 matches that they played, but then they lost to New Jersey. They are currently at 34 points with 2 matches to play. DC is at 35 points with 2 matches to play, and Texas is at 38 points with no matches to play. One of those 3 teams will get the 4 seed. That's right, Texas is still in the mix. They could backdoor their way into this thing. Arizona took the men's doubles game against Jack Sock and Anderson Scarpa. Not too surprising considering that there was a sub. But then it was the Arizona Drive who got out to a big lead against the New York Hustlers. The New York Hustlers women have been very good this year, and Arizona is already eliminated. Up 19-12, Lacey Schneemann had a choice. What would you do here? She went with lob, and it worked out. Jackie Kawamoto, not really known for the put-away power, they were able to get this rally, take a commanding 20-12 lead after angling off a nice put-away. Arizona Drive would go on to win the women's doubles game, and that would give them a 2-0 lead heading into mixed. AZ Drive would have a match point against Jack and Leia, and we would get into a very conservative cross-court dink battle between Jesse Irvin and Leia Jansen. Dylan Frazier not even going to see a ball. Coming over towards the middle, not too much. Jack and Leia not even interested in, putting one behind him, keeping him honest. They're just going to keep sending these balls over to Jessie, make her beat you, and, well, you know what? She beat you. Now, we haven't looked at Annalie Waters and Mari Humberg yet because New Jersey really needed their men to step up if they were going to get the 1 seed, and they had done that up to this point, but let's go and take a minute and just appreciate greatness. This team is performing at such a high level. Annalie Waters, we know she has the power, but her reset's so good. She just has every single shot that you need there. Getting her way back in, turning defense into offense, up 8-3, just taking over. I don't know if this is smart pickleball, but they're going to get this point anyway. Up 18-8, yeah, why not? Let's go and just get an ATP from Mari Humberg. Up 19-8. For all the talk about how big the right side is getting in men's doubles, let's take a look at what Annalie Waters is doing from the right side in Major League Pickleball this year. And also, Mari Humberg, so good with that wrist, with that flick. 24-10, they're going to get this one done. An easy blowout victory, about as bad as you'll see in Major League Pickleball. Here in men's doubles, we get a look at Team Fubar. That's right, Ryan Fu and Deckel Bar. Team Fubar. I mean, come on, that's catchy. That should stick. These guys got to play more tournaments together. And it is Team Fubar that comes away with the men's doubles game. That would mean we would head to the inevitable Dream Breaker. Will House up against Ryan Fu. He's going to hit a backhand winner, just clipping his opponent's paddle. He's going to catch the inside-out forehand down the line, and up 2-1, he gets a nice feathery little drop shot, almost sent his opponent flying into the net. Here we get Zane versus Deckel, the Las Vegas runners-up. Zane clips the net, and it goes deep. We'll take a quick look at a legal serve from Deckel Bar. Hits it right in the corner, gets him ahead of this point, and able to get this one on Zane. Because of it, Zane may be questioning whether he should have been defending that serve the whole time as the St. Louis Shock team looks on, eagerly hoping for a little DC pickleball team magic. Zane trying to get the crowd fired up. We get Annalie Waters against Rachel Rohrbacher, and we're going to get a little two-handed cross-court winner from Rachel. But AL, too good. She says, yeah, I invented that shot, okay? She's going to do it right back at her. Mari Humberg against Vivian Glosman. We saw Glosman had a very tough day in the last Dream Breaker, and that would continue, missing the line just barely there. Here, she's going to approach the net, and again, just dumps it in, unforced error. Deckel Bar with another big serve against Zane Navratil. Sneaks one just past him. Again, back to this crucial lineup. We get Mari Humberg with that big slice. At 16-13, Mari Humberg with a serve, and the third shot is so much slice. Vivian puts it into the net. Here, again, she's going to get the inside-out forehand winner. I mean, this was just a beatdown. Mari Humberg looked so good in this one. Vivian Glosman continued having a tough day with the unforced errors in singles. New Jersey would go on to win the Dream Breaker after Ryan Fu gets called for the foot fault. Now, let's go ahead and take a little reset here, catch our breath as we get a nice close-up of this foot fault, because the battle for the 1 seed and the battle for the 4 seed are going to come down to the wire. After picking up the Dream Breaker win over DC, New Jersey became, according to my model, the favorite to earn the 1 seed. They would just need 2 points in their final match against an already eliminated Orlando team. What happened next in this race for the 4 seed was actually pretty funny. New York dropped their final match of the season, which took them out of contention for the 4 seed. So after that New York loss, all DC needs is a single point and they will earn the 4 seed. My model gives them a 64% chance to do that, but when you take into account they don't have James Ignatowicz and you adjust their dupers accordingly, it is the Texas Rangers who have a 69% chance to backdoor their way into the 4 seed somehow. It was no surprise that I was sitting on my couch minding my business, thinking that all the drama was over, when I got a call from Ryan DeWidgeon, the GM of the Texas Rangers. He then accused me of being a fake fan for watching the NFL instead of Major League Pickleball, and I promptly changed the channel to tune in to the final bits of action. The women's doubles game would be super important for DC. If they were to drop it, that means Ryan Fu would have to come up with a win to force a dream breaker. DC had a nice lead early, but Jesse Irvin was getting big from that right side, and then we got into a little bit of a dink battle, and you know me, I love my dink circles. I hope you guys like them too. Let me know in the comments. Is this just overkill? Do you guys like dink circles? I like them. I just think they're neat. Trailing 20-19, Jesse Irvin again coming over that same pattern, getting big, smacking a winner down the sideline. Trailing 22-21. She just pushes that one wide at 23-21. Lacey Schneeman's going to angle this one off nicely on a game point for DC. Glosman into the net, 23-24. AZ on the serve, trying to tie it up. We're going to get some dinks, and then we're going to get a trigger pull. We get into a firefight, and we've got a tie game at 24-24 with so much on the line for DC. They need to find a way to scrap out this win. And on the next rally, Jesse Irvin gets the exact ball that she wants. It puts it into the net. Yet another game point for the DC women. We get into some cross-court dinks, and then I don't even know what you're going to call this shot. It's not an Ernie. It's almost an Ernie, but we get a falling down winner from Lacey Schneeman. Now, I know we wanted some drama with somebody fighting at the last game just to get into the playoffs, but this is what we got, and I mean, come on, this is pretty fun. Unfortunately, an epic match with an anticlimactic end, Lacey Schneeman into the net. The DC women take that game, and it gives them a clear path to getting to that crucial dream breaker. Remember, they don't have to win the dream breaker. They just have to get there. DC lost the next 2 games with Ryan Fu. He was doing his best as he could, but just a little overmatched at this level. Can't blame him for that, though. And after the 10,000th dink cross-court to Lacey Schneeman, they finally started giving a few to Andre. Basically, anytime he started looking just a little too menacing in the middle, maybe like he's going to come over and poach, they'd try to slip one past him. And that ended up being the winning pattern in this rally. Watch here as he gives up a little too much ground, and that is when Deckel strikes. He hasn't fully reset yet. They get this rally. Up 17-14, Andre Diescu decides this is a good time to test Deckelbar's hands. However, he is sitting all over it and punches the backhand winner right down the middle. At 21-18, Deckelbar gets a little help off the tape, and on game point, able to close it out. They would force the dream breaker. The results did not matter. However, Ryan Fu had his moment. He ended up hitting the winner. We were also treated to one last drama-free match. New Jersey got the sweep 4-0 over Orlando. This secured the number 1 seed. So there you have it. The Premier League season is done. New Jersey gets the 1 seed. St. Louis will be the 2 seed. They will have byes. The Dallas Flash, the 3 seed, would then go on to select New York Hustlers for their first round matchup. And the DC Pickleball team will play the Texas Rangers. These playoff matches will start on Saturday. They will be best 2 of 3 series. And I'm going to do a recap on that just a little bit later in the week, so stay tuned. I'll be joined by Eric Tice, who, by the way, if you don't follow him on Twitter or read his content, you're definitely missing out. But anyway, he'll be joining me to preview the playoffs. Now, before you go, we do have to talk about Challenger League. I don't always talk about Challenger League. I just have to draw the line somewhere. I only have so much time, but all that drama that I so desperately craved in Premier League, it was all hanging out in Challenger League. It got pretty crazy. Let's take a look. Entering the week, Miami was looking like the favorite to lock up the 1 seed or at least secure one of those coveted byes. Now, these byes are super important in Challenger League because if you get a bye, you advance to the semis, which means you automatically get promoted to Premier League. If you don't get one of the top 2 seeds, you are 3 through 6, you got to play a quarterfinal match, and if you win that, well, then you'll get promoted. The SoCal Hard Eights were already in the clubhouse. They were just waiting to see if they would end up with one of those byes. Chicago had a shot at it, as did ATL. There were also 4 teams fighting it out for the last playoff spot, including Brooklyn, Bay Area, who was done, no more matches, Frisco, who only had a measly 4% chance, according to my model, to make the playoffs, and the Florida Smash led by Travis Rettenmeyer. The Frisco Pandas on day one picked up 2 regulation wins against other teams competing with them for that final spot. They beat the Florida Smash and the Brooklyn Aces. This completely changed the outlook of the event for them. Their odds jumped up to a 34% chance, and it looked like a 3-way race between Brooklyn, Bay Area, and Frisco, with Florida going 0-2 on the day with 0 points pretty much out of the mix. On Friday, Frisco undid some of their hard work, dropping a Dreambreaker match to ATL. Meanwhile, Brooklyn picked up a regulation win over Miami. Miami may be starting to show some signs of weakness. They would need to step it up if they wanted to get one of those byes. By the end of the day on Friday, the 6th and final spot was Brooklyn's to lose. And on Saturday, they did just about everything they could to lose it. They lost a Dreambreaker to ATL and another match in regulation. After the dust had settled on Saturday, Brooklyn was eliminated. Frisco had 1 match left on Sunday against Miami. If they won it, either in regulation or a Dreambreaker, they would get the spot. Otherwise, it would go to Bay Area. And Miami just needed 2 points out of their final 2 matches to tie or pass the SoCal Hard Eights and earn the final bye. And sure enough, Frisco did it. They got the win. They got the last playoff spot, and Miami lost both matches, fumbling that bye. They now have to win a quarterfinal match to get promoted. It was an absolute wild ride in Challenger League. It was a ton of fun to follow. I hope you enjoyed this video. That's all I have today. Stay tuned because on Thursday morning, I'll be posting an MLP playoff preview with Eric Tice from the Dink. Until then, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and see you next time.